there, welcome to Inquiring Minds. My name is Doug and I'm back with another Pen Resurrection Sunday video. Last week I showed you how to convert a Parker 51 Aerometric into a cartridge converter pen using a brass adapter. It worked so well on my friend Ron's Parker 51 that I went back to the vendor and bought 3 more. I've got one more Parker 51 Aerometric here in gray with a stainless steel cap that I've been working on the clip right now that I removed. I'll convert this one and go ahead and look for more Aerometrics. Last week I mentioned that I was not fond of Aerometrics and preferred the Vacumatics. So I thought before I return Ronnie's beautiful Aerometric pen, pencil, and ballpoint set in burgundy and gold, let's compare the Aerometric with the Vacumatic and see the differences, since they're both in the identical burgundy and gold. So here is Ron's dad's 1954 Parker 51 Aerometric that I restored and converted for him. And here is a 1947 Parker 51 Vacumatic in the same burgundy with gold-filled cap. I've already restored this Vacumatic. I showed this pen to you last week and went ahead and restored it without you. I have such a backlog of vintage fountain pens needing repair that if I only repaired one pen a week, because I have to film each step, it would take me 1.23 years to complete them all. So I've started restoring them without filming each step, and guess what? It takes half the time to do this off camera. Who knew? And here are 2 other vintage pens I've restored this week alone. Both of these belong to John Summers. And no, I don't do fountain pen restorations as a business, so please don't ask me. I made a deal with John to look at a few of his old dead pens in exchange for this gorgeous 1960 Schaefer PFM, or Pen for Men, which he gave me, and he gave me the matching pencil, and I restored them both. This was a Grail pen for me, and you can see that restoration by clicking right up here. And this is a vintage Moore Jr. lever filler in brown celluloid. I'm guessing it's late 1940s. It has a beautiful 14 karat gold number 3 size nib, and I've polished it up and it's ready to write. And this is a vintage Arnold lever filler in this beautiful aqua blue celluloid, also dating from the 1940s. It's so tiny and it has a steel nib, and this pen is all cleaned up and ready to write as well. Cool little pen. Here it is in comparison to the Parker Aerometric. You can see how tiny that Arnold is. I'd never heard of Arnold Fountain Pen Company before. But let's get back to the Parker 51s. And here's what the Vacumatic looked like before I resurrected it. It had some deep gouges in the barrel and the shell, as evidenced by these before photos, and the cap was heavily tarnished with some degree of brassing on the edge, and the blue paint in the blue diamond clip was gone. And here is the pen now. The barrel and the shell are pristine, and the cap is 1,000 times better than it was after polishing. There's nothing to be done when the gold is gone and the brass shows through. But I still think this pen looks gorgeous. You have to look for that brassing on the very, very tiny edge right there. And I restored the blue paint in the blue diamond clip. Interestingly, some of these split Aero blue diamond clips were produced without the blue paint. In December 1945, fountain pen manufacturers Schaefer, Parker, Eversharp, and Waterman were ordered by the FTC in the US to cease making unqualified representations that their fountain pens are unconditionally guaranteed for the life of the user unless those companies make whatever repairs or replacements necessary without expense to the user. Before this ruling, pen companies would state the pen was unconditionally warranted for life, but the fine print was that users would have to pay for things such as shipping and service costs. So the FTC basically forced those companies to provide the free lifetime warranties as they were stated, for free. And of course, all the companies stopped providing lifetime warranties at that point. No profit in it for the company. So the blue diamond mark of the lifetime warranty for Parker went away. But Parker had a bunch of stock of the blue diamond stamped clips, so they just used them up without the blue paint. And I think this might have been one of those clips. So let's compare the parts and features of the Vacumatic versus the Aerometric. The revolutionary design of the Parker 51 fountain pen was launched in 1941, and Parker continued to make the model until 1972, a remarkable 31 years. The invention of the hooded nib and the ink collector kept the nib from drying out. Combined with Parker's newly formulated quick-drying ink, the Parker 51 ink, the 51 was a revolution in pen design. The pen was named the 51 for the 51st anniversary of the Parker Pen Company in 1939, when the design of the 51 was completed. It also easily translated into other languages. Contrary to popular opinion, it was not named after the famed fighter, the P-51 Mustang, although Parker's marketing department made full use of the coincidence, especially when they released the P-51 Fighter model. The new Parker 51 had a tried-and-true filling system called the Vacumatic that was invented by Parker in 1932. You remove this blind cap and dip the nib in the ink and then press down several times until you don't see bubbles anymore. Here's a video I shot with my endoscopic camera of the Vacumatic diaphragm in this pen moving up and down inside the barrel. Under the hood, the Vacumatic has an ink collector that stores and regulates the ink flow and houses the tubular nib and feed. Inserted into the back of the feed and extended into the barrel is a breather tube that will allow the ink to be drawn up and collected inside the barrel and not expelled again when the plunger presses. The Vacumatic can hold up to 1.5 milliliters of ink. The Vacumatic was replaced in 1948 by what Parker named the Aerometric filling system. Let's take a look at the differences. Here's Ronnie's 1954 Parker 51 Aerometric. The split blue diamond clip was redesigned in 1948 and replaced by this sleeker design Aero clip. The Vacumatics had gold-filled content on the front of the cap that was replaced with Parker on the front of the Aerometric with the gold-filled content on the back of the Aerometric. The Vacumatic is a 14-karat gold-filled cap, whereas the Aerometric is 12-karat gold-filled. Without their caps, these two pens are almost indistinguishable. The only way to tell is to remove the blind cap on the Vacumatic or the barrel on the Aerometric. The Aerometric barrel unscrews completely, and of course this one has been converted into a cartridge converter pen. So we'll look at this Aerometric that I'm currently restoring. The barrel unscrews and we see the Aerometric filling system designed by Parker in 1948. There's a stainless steel sack protector and a squeeze bar surrounding a PVC sack that is semi-transparent to allow you to see your ink levels. The sack protector is engraved with Parker 51. To fill, press rib bar firmly 4 times. Use dry writing superchrome ink holding point down, wipe point with soft tissue. The Parker Pen Company, made in the USA. It's a lot of information in that small space. Under the hood, things look very similar with the addition of an O-ring right there above the clutch ring that helps seal the section from leaking. Vacumatics had imprints on the top of the barrel that said Parker 51 made in the USA with a date code, whereas there's no markings on the barrel of an Aerometric, and the only date code you'll get is on the base of the nib when you pull it out of the collector. So what are the likes and dislikes of Vacumatics and Aerometrics? I have no doubt that Parker felt that the Aerometric was new, innovative, and modern. The Aerometric had a new ink sac made from PVC that never wore out, unlike the latex diaphragm of the Vacumatic. The Aerometric was more efficient and less costly to manufacture, and there were fewer customer returns and less maintenance once they were in users' hands. Those are all very well and good, but I still prefer the Vacumatic. I find it easier to fill with a few straight down presses of the plunger and weighs less. I've owned some non-51 Parker Vacumatics that were close to 90 years old and still work beautifully with a new diaphragm. And cleaning the Vacumatic is so much less painful than the Aerometric, where you have to keep pumping that bar, and those edges are so sharp this feels like a cheese grater to me. Otherwise, the look and feel of the two varieties of Parker 51 is pretty much identical. The outward appearance is slightly different with the two different clips, and that is, of course, up to personal preferences. I prefer the Art Deco style of the split Aero blue diamond clip over the straight Aero. And now that I've restored this 1947 Parker 51 Vacumatic, let's fill it with ink and give it a writing test. Now before I fill it with ink, I'm going to weigh the pen to check its capacity. It weighs 10.16 grams. Press tear, listen for the bubbles. As soon as it stops creating bubbles, yeah, no more bubbles. Should be as full as I can get it. Put it back there. I was surprised at that lack of capacity, so I refilled it again more carefully, and this is the more accurate capacity of this pen now. I've got 1.66 milliliters of ink in this Vacumatic. That's more normal. And here we have the Parker 51 Vacumatic, and it is a 1947. And I would say this is, I'm going to say, an extra fine to a fine 14 karat gold nib. Let's check the wetness here. It's decently wet. There's no line variation to be had, of course. This is a tubular Parker 51 nib, and they're not known for being flexible at all, but it's very smooth for a fine nib. And luckily I didn't have to do anything to this nib. It just came this way. Beautiful writer. So what are my thoughts about this restoration? Let's take a look at Ronnie's Aerometric as well. There's a tiny amount of brassing on the bottom of the cap, but other than that, this pen is in pristine condition, writes very, very smooth with an extra fine to a fine line. And there you have it. If you like this video, please like and subscribe, and don't forget to ring that bell to get instant notifications whenever a new video is posted. And you can join as a member of my channel for only 99 cents a month, and I guarantee I'll answer your comments in the comment section, and you'll get cool emojis, badges, sneak peek unboxing videos, as well as instant access to my videos the moment I post them. And that just leaves it for me to say thank you. Watching, and that's all she wrote.
I made this.